Tim Petrowich here from Dateline Marion.com with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. And Coach, it's hard to believe we're back here again for another football season.
It comes around quick, doesn't it? Yeah, we're excited. I know the community seems excited, the school does, and time to kick it off.
You've had quite a bit of chance to see these players with the summer camps and the workouts and things like that, and now you're 2 weeks into the fall season. Just talk about the off season and what this team may set this team apart from teams you've had in the past.
Well, from the very onset of our off-season conditioning, I felt like after the triad game, there was a collective regrouping by the players to get stronger, to work harder in the off-season, to be a little more committed. And we've certainly seen that. I mean, we've had great attendance, we've had great work ethic, we've had tremendous leadership from our senior class, and so we're real pleased with how hard they prepared in the off-season to get themselves ready for a good 2012 campaign.
You talk about that leadership from your senior class, and that's caused you to kind of do something a little bit differently where it comes to your captain situation. Instead of picking out 4 or 5 captains, you've decided to just let the senior team be the collective leaders of this team.
It was just hard to single out just any individual guys. I mean, the leadership has come at different times from different people, and we've got a senior class of about 17 guys, and it was just very difficult to say, okay, you 4 are better leaders than the other guys. I think the leadership needs to come from the collective group, ideally. And sure, we have some spokespeople, some people that will speak for the team and the coin tosses and all that. But overall, we felt like the leadership was coming from really everybody in the senior class. And even some of our juniors have shown real good leadership and ability to fill that void next year.
Again, this program blessed with some pretty good numbers. You're freshman through senior in the neighborhood of 105, 110 players. Yeah. Pretty good for a school this size.
Yeah, we're happy with it. I mean, there becomes a problem when you reach the 120 to 125 player mark. I mean, just the ability to coach that many kids. I mean, we like the number at 105 to 110. We feel like it's a manageable number. We can really get our hands on the techniques and the fundamentals, and so we're real happy where it's at. We think we've got a group of kids here that want to be here, that want to work hard, understand the commitment, and have paid the price in the off season.
There are going to be some names that people recognize coming into this year. Matt Lewis at quarterback, Henry Jones, who had an outstanding second half at running back, J.D. Ray, you talked about him. Some other players, several players that are back, noticeably a couple players on the offensive line, Connor Jackson, Brock Stiegel. So you've got some players to build around, and several other players who may have not been starters last year but got quite a bit of playing time.
They did, you're right, and we feel like we have a good blend of players that have played, have had a lot of success, have been a part of the program, have been in some big ball games and some tough, crucial games for us, and we've also got a nice mix of guys that are fresh faces, that are young players that are going to step up and I think play for this team for a long time.
What I've heard in some of the off-season discussion is that the defense has really stepped up in the off-season and has started to challenge your offense a little more as practices continue throughout the preseason.
Yeah, it's that's where it all begins, is having a solid defense, and we've got great defensive coaches who've done a great job in the off-season of I think helping prepare our kids to play at a different level on defense. And our defense has always been good. I think last year we had some injury problems, so we did the year before as well, and our secondary was very young last year, and I thought Coach Dunning did a great job with the young secondary. But we feel like that they're really a much improved group right now. I think the coaches are more comfortable in the second year in this defensive package that we run, and we look for big things and some big plays out of our defense.
You, 2 years ago, were blessed with tremendous size, especially in the offensive and defensive lines. That's something you didn't have near as much of last year. Where does this team compare? Is it more the smaller, quicker team or the bigger team?
It's a smaller, quicker team. We have a few individuals that are decent size, but certainly this doesn't match the team of 2010, where we had an average offensive line size of 6'3", 275 or whatever, which was a very big high school offensive line. This is a group that's got decent size. It's not a small team, but certainly we're going to have to rely on a hard-nosed work ethic and good quickness and execution and being able to move and get on people, and we're comfortable with that. The majority of teams we've had here have been with smaller offensive lines and smaller players, even at the skill positions, but able to just go out and play fast and out execute people, and I think that's what this football team has to do.
One of the other comparisons I'm hearing, and we want to be careful because we don't want to put Matt Lewis in a Matt Brown category, having only played half of a season, but the rest of the team, a lot of comparisons to 2006, 2007 with that deep group of players that can all contribute, and the smaller, quicker team like you had in those years that maybe catch some people by surprise.
Well, I don't know. A lot of that, there's so many factors that go into determining where a team is comparative to somebody else, and a lot of it goes into who your opponents are, and of course, the schedule that team played is different than the schedule this team will play. I think on paper there are some similarities to the 06, 07 teams on paper, but certainly the schedule is different. There's so many different factors. I always tell the kids I never compare players or teams. I just know this team will have its own identity, what it does well and what it doesn't do well. And as a coaching staff, it's our job to take the talent we've got and maximize it as best we can and give them the best chance of success they can have.
One identity this team can establish is the first team in Marion possibly to three-peat as South 7 Conference champs?
Well, you set goals before the season starts, and certainly every year being conference champions is one of our goals. So is having a winning season, being a playoff team, and all those things. So it's on our goal sheet to be a winning football team for 2012, to be a playoff team, but also to be conference champions. But we know that in order to get to that point, it's 1 week at a time, and it starts with Granite City.
And you've got let's talk about the schedule, because we've mentioned this earlier in the preseason. No gimmies in this schedule this year. Pretty much the tough teams from last year are tough again this year, and the teams that were near the bottom of your schedule last year are drastically improved this year.
No doubt. I mean, there's I don't know if it's the toughest schedule we've had here until I couldn't say that till the season's over, but certainly on paper it looks like one of the tougher schedules we've ever had. And it's part of the game. It makes it exciting. We've asked the kids that they're going to have to raise the level of their play and meet this challenge. If you want a challenge for a 5A state championship, you're going to have to play tough people along the way to get there. You're going to have to play a tough regular season schedule to compete at the 5A playoff level. So we're going to take them one at a time and understand that there is no week off. There is no week to step back. We know in our conference there's such parity that if you have an off night, C+ grade could be a loss. So we've got to grade out high every week, and we know we've got to play at a high level. And again, I think in the end that should make us a better team.
Friday night, Granite City comes here, a team that went 6-3 in the regular season, qualified for the playoffs.
Right.
An outstanding running back in Capri Sloan, who's finally a senior this year.
Finally.
This is also a game where you guys stumbled a little bit last year, especially in special teams, which corrected, by the way, special teams corrected themselves quite a bit after that game last year, but that probably left a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth.
It did, and nobody wants to start the season off 0-1. I thought they played hungrier. I thought we made way too many mistakes, turnover-wise, special teams-wise. It was just not a good first game performance. Fortunately, we bounced back and played really well after that. But and you're right, we did correct a lot of the things that ailed us at Granite City. But it wasn't just the loss to Granite City. They were a playoff team and a very good football team in a great conference. But it's the way we lost the game that bothered us most. They just played hungrier than our kids did, which you hardly ever see. I thought they were more physical than we were, and just the number of mental mistakes we made was bothersome. So we've really stressed a more physical, state. We've tried to really stress the special teams and the mistakes we made last year, and so we feel like we've addressed those things, but only time will tell.
Sloan is obviously their leader, and I think he had about 350 or 400 total yards between running and kicking and receiving and things. How do you stop a player like that, or do you really stop a player like that?
Well, I mean, you make every effort to. I mean, I certainly think that the game plan needs to be, we've got to limit what he does to us. I mean, we've got to make them beat us doing something other than giving him the football. He had a tremendous game last year, and he was just a solid performer. He's a big, strong kid. He can outrun you. He can run over you. But, you know, we've got to set up our game plan to try to contain him somewhat and slow him down and make them do some things they don't want to do to win the ball game.
You're at home for the season opener, and this school and the parents that are involved and all the people involved go all out for a home opener, and to start the season that way with the atmosphere that's going to be here Friday night, you're pretty excited about that, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. It's great to start at home. We were a road team a lot last year, and we're looking forward to playing at home. We're looking forward to getting in front of the home crowd and you know, having a great night. We look forward to the atmosphere that's been created here, and so we're excited.
As we're taping this, they're painting the field right now, and that just means you're that much closer to doing this on Friday night, isn't it?
Every day we take these little incremental steps getting closer, and the field looks a little bit different each day, and the anticipation gets a little bigger and better each day, and this is what it's all about. I mean, you work so hard 12 months out of the year, the coaches do, the players do, and it culminates in the beginning of this 9-game season, which hopefully will lead to additional games, but we got to earn it, and it starts with trying to earn one on Friday.
All right, well, Coach, good luck on Friday night. We'll see you then, and hopefully we'll be back here next week talking about the 1-0 Marion Wildcats.
Sounds good.
For Marion head coach Kerry Martin, I'm Tim Petrowich for Dateline Marion.